You are now.
Very good. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. The webinar has begun, and so will begin, although we know that people are still enjoying that last bit of coffee, and so we'll have a leisurely beginning this morning. I'm Barb Glesner-Fines. I'm Dean and Professor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Law. And my colleague, Ayyoub Ajmi, is Director of Legal Innovation and Technology at the law school. And we're here to have a conversation with you this morning about collaboration and about our legal technology laboratory. And we're here to ask for your help and for your participation.
Good morning, everyone. I want to make sure that the shared screen is working right.
It should be, yeah.
For the Zoom.
It is. I can see it.
Perfect.
Oh, and bing, bing, people are coming in. So nice to know. So, Ayyoub, take it away.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we are all familiar with a lot of things we will be addressing, but I think for the audience and for prosperity, we want to go back and revisit a few things. So I teach legal technology competency. I have been teaching maybe 4 years now. And my main course is based on the ABA comment about legal technology competency and how lawyers should know how to use technology. So this is like 10 years ago, 2012 when it started. Most schools start adopting it, most states start adopting the comment, which is not a rule. 2013, majority of states have done that. But over the years, the focus was every CLE I attend or I gave about legal tech competency, we focus on pretty much 2 or 3 things. Security, what is the cloud? Should I be on the cloud? Should my clients be in the cloud? And then the theme is always the same. Technology as a tool. Technology, should we use technology? Should we not use it? Should we use it this way or the other way? And I don't think that was the purpose. Few years by COVID, we started using technology in a different way. So most attorneys start using technology. They're using it for video call conferences. But again, it's the same thing. It's using technology to basically duplicate what's going on offline in an online basis. We did the same thing in law schools by taking all our paper-based courses and projects to Canvas and Zoom, and we called it online. Courts have done the same thing. I don't know any court that does not use PDF. A lot of courts have self-help portals. I work and I help many courts on developing self-help portals, and I always feel this does not make any sense. We are spending so much money, so much resources, using latest technology to build guided interviews and build things like that, just so the judge can print a PDF or scan a PDF and highlight it. This is like the best I have seen, scanned PDFs and using pencil and iPad. This is like the extreme. So literally what we are doing is grafting tech to a workflow that we have been doing. So we have some disruptive technologies. We have been talking about AI and generative AI and how it will impact jobs and change the way we do things. I am not 100% sure how is this going to be, how it's going to work. I don't think anybody knows. I don't know if it's going to affect jobs directly, maybe. But for me, there's going to be something needs to happen. And for me, not just from the technology perspective, but mostly from access to justice. Things are not good. Courts are backlog is huge in civil cases. Most people who go to court are underrepresented, and it does not affect just the people who can't afford lawyers. If you have a divorce and one have lawyer, one doesn't have lawyer, I'm pretty sure the lawyer is pissed off because it's going to delay things because the other party doesn't have a lawyer. So it's affecting everybody. It affects the staff, affects the judges, and something has to happen. Something needs to be fixed, and that's where I believe that technology can help by building tools. We have been experimenting and working in some real life projects with some huge impact in the population using technology. One example is a protection order for a state, which the UMKC helped design and build. We did it because of COVID, but COVID, 4 years later, it's still working. 75% of all cases in protection order now are done through an online portal. What used to take users 8 hours to fill out a protection order in domestic violence with children, now it could be done in 45 minutes. And what used to take staff hours to explain people what form to use, how should I do this, what court should I use, now it's done in 2 minutes and a half by simply using a guided interview. So we know the impact in technology, we know that this is working, and we have proof to show that, if anybody still doubts. And that's what we're trying to do. So how can we prepare for the future, the new lawyers who will graduate? What should they learn? And how can we make legal tech education as valuable as other skills? So we think like the future, students will have to know how to collaborate. Faculty will needs to know how to collaborate better and share. Students have to be tech savvy, know how to use technology, but also know how to empathize and understand their users. Because if you don't understand your user, whatever you are building is not going to work. So what are the challenges? Why we are not collaborating?
So this is what the dean gets to talk about, all the problems, right? So what are the problems? Well, first of all, when we think about the rule itself, the guidance, what's our bottom line? The ethics rules can't possibly keep up with the changes in technology. I mean, I recall 15 years ago, I'm sure you do too, when courts were saying, oh, you can't use a cell phone to communicate with your clients because or you can't use email to communicate with your clients because it will be intercepted. It's like, well, how is that going to happen exactly? Well, we don't know, but we know it's dangerous. And so you have the technology marching on, and then the court's trying to regulate and provide guidance for what are minimum competencies that are 20 years old or ill-informed about what the technology is. And so that's one challenge, is that we have a pressure to educate the next generation of lawyers to a standard of competency that is not really the standard of competency they need to be educated for. And so we have to lead in this space. We can't expect the courts or the profession really to lead in this space in terms of how we're going to educate our students. Plus, let's think about who's going to do this education. I have faculty members who have a challenge using an Excel spreadsheet, right? Who are have some faculty members who still would prefer that we would print out all their emails. We don't, but they would prefer it, right? And so we've got faculty members who themselves need basic technical education. And then we have faculty members who are on the cutting edge of legal technology development and everywhere in between. And then we have just a whole lot of holes in a lot of our institutions. How many law schools have someone who can credibly teach design thinking? How many law schools have folks who can credibly teach in a collaborative, interdisciplinary, project-based method? When, if for 35 years I've been teaching in a doctrinal classroom using Socratic method, and now you're suddenly asking me to abandon all that control of learning into the mass of students in the classroom in a collaborative setting, it's scary as heck for a lot of faculty members. And then, on top of that, we have differential resources. So, we'll just hire some no people. No, we won't, not when we're at the cliff on high school graduates and the number of people who are going to be going to law school. While we need more lawyers, we're not necessarily going to have more people coming to law school. And when the costs, you know, challenges to higher education today, generally, the public's not much believing in the value of higher education. And so funding is going down. I work at a state-funded law school. We used to be a state-supported law school, then a state-assisted law school. These days, I feel like we're just a state-located law school in terms of the way that funding from, you know, state government has been moving along, right? And so then we need to have private partners in philanthropy, and you know, when I go out and talk to donors, if I'm asking them, you know, I need you know, $100,000 to be able to hire a fellow to do some technology stuff, like who, what? No, I want to replicate me, right? It's that in-group bias that we all have, and it's the fear of the unknown. And so it's a real challenge to get the resources to do this. And then we have whole different cultures and focuses among the different law schools on the client groups that we're focused on. So for example, at UMKC, we're very much, we represent folks, kind of a law school. So we have a nationally ranked family law program. Not a lot of law schools do. It's not a high status area of law. We do a lot of criminal law instruction and work. A lot of our students go into that field. Our business curriculum focuses very much on entrepreneurship and new ventures and startups and the like. Well, that's not high status work, but it's our niche. Now, the school down the street might have a focus in being very focused on intellectual property or environmental law, real cutting edge stuff. The law school on the hill down the road even further might be focused on teaching the next generation of legislators and Supreme Court justices and law professors. And so there are different cultures, different clients, different missions of law schools. And I think sometimes we don't realize the extent to which different law schools really do have different missions. You know, if you go to our websites, it sounds like we're all doing the same thing. But if you go down to the level of who's on the faculty and what's the curriculum and what are people doing, we're different. We're different. And the problem is that kind of hyper-specialization that we are all, as a profession, both educators and lawyers, increasingly pushed to become more and more specialized, means we're more and more narrow, means we're more and more siloed, means collaboration is much harder, and innovation is much harder, because innovation, I would suggest, by its very nature, requires collaboration, requires some work together. So, what are the solutions to these problems? Ayyoub, let's talk about it.
So I think collaboration is important, but yesterday, a couple of sessions they mentioned, like during the questions, one of the attendees, they were saying, well, how come I don't know about this? Or how come that person next to you who lives in the same city and the same bar association, they don't know about this, what you are doing? We were talking about prototypes and hackathons and things like that. I think that's real. So what we are hoping to do is to improve collaboration, trying not to recreate the wheel each time someone come up with an idea, because there's probably someone else have done it, and maybe you can pick up on one where they left off and then improve on what they already have. So that's what today I want to share with you what we are working on. Do you want to go to this quickly, just so?
So let me just ask you.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So we have a legal technology network. We would like everybody to share and collaborate. One of our collaborators and leaders, Tony Lupino, frequently uses the quotation that it's amazing what you can get done if you don't care who gets credit for it. And that's very much been a driving philosophy behind LTL, is that we are not really interested in claiming this as our own, or requiring people be members, or keeping it within the law schools, or keep it, we'd really like to create an open and collaborative network. But why? But a lot of other people have tried. I mean, Callie, my goodness, Callie's 33 years old. I was president of the board of Callie when the A to J project started, and the presentation yesterday on A to J, and every court ought to have guided interviews by now. It hasn't happened. What's holding us back from transformative collaboration? Well, partly is that we don't have like one source, one go-to place. Partly it's because we each want to build our own, because we want to have our own credit for it. And partly it's because of all the resource constraints that I've already mentioned. Is there something else that we're missing? I'd really like to hear from you. What is holding us back from truly collaborating on transforming technology education in law schools? Says the Socratic teacher. Appropriate pause
to wait for the answer. Mr. Robach.
So I think one of the things, though, that's holding us back is we don't have an agreement on what technology competency actually means. And so I think sort of as a scaffolding for this, which I think is wonderful, kind of figuring out how to decide what those things are so that we can talk about them in sort of the same language. And I love the LTL site. So full disclosure, I was at UMKC before St. Thomas and was involved with the projects. There's still this kind of mixing up of the law of technology with the technology of the law. And so you have programs that are about startup, so even the startup clinics are focused on helping people start a business, which is great. You just need to know about technology, but that's still not the technology competency part that I think we need to figure out how to focus on.
Okay.
So I would say that'd be one thing that we still need to sort out as part of getting the network together.
All right. Clarity of a structure, that'd be very helpful.
So, I mean, I've dealt with change in the technology education space for years, and what we see is no one wants to start at the basics. Everybody wants to jump to the really cool, we're building our own apps, we're doing our own thing. I mean, yes, our students can't make a table of authorities, but they can program an app that will do all this other stuff, and because it's not sexy and cool to brag that your students are competent in Word, but it is cool to show off that they can create their own app that will do something. But it's that gap in between that nobody wants to do because it doesn't sound cool, it doesn't sound awesome, it doesn't sound like you're accomplishing things, but you can't go from here to there without doing all the stuff in between.
Yeah, and I think to build on that, we're very happy when we have 6 students who are really tech competent.
And that's
yeah.
what it is. We're talking about a topic that is not on the bar and it's not in the US News rankings. So nobody cares about it. And as long as it's ignored by both of those categories, schools will continue to ignore it and students will continue to ignore it.
Well, I'm not as cynical as you are, which we have already determined that many times.
I've dealt with 275 schools.
I know. I'm sorry. I got a stab to miss it.
I mean, I think the thing I was going to say before you said what you were going to say, which I agree, it's the same thing. I think not all institutions have buy-in, like student buy-in, and like not everyone has like a really supportive dean who's like, oh, I see this, right? Some of those deans are the same colleagues that you're talking about that can't open an Excel spreadsheet.
Right.
I'm not at an institution like that, but I have been at institutions like that before where there's just no cultural buy-in from the decision makers.
And Michelle, where are you at?
I'm at Georgia State now, so we're
Oh,
super
yeah.
tech.
Yeah,
Love
no,
that.
I have a comment from Zoom, fear of looking ignorant.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if this attendee means students fear or faculty fear or.
Probably
administrative
faculty fear.
No,
I
all
would
of
add
it.
to that,
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
the wisdom of, I mean, do we have, there's a lot of tech competency in this room. I don't think it's evenly distributed among schools. And it's hard, I think, for us to feel fully prepared to walk into the, to further our own knowledge.
I also think just human nature, we're in a bubble, and so we don't realize things. Like when you say, you're in the same city, how did you not know that they're doing this great project? Because I didn't interact with that thing yet. So we'd have students that are like, I never heard of this class. I'm like, did you not see the flyers we posted all over? Did you not read the course descriptions? Or courts that are like, wow, we really need to deal with this self-represented litigant thing. Like, yeah, you should be dealing with them for the last 50 years. Like, you just realized this?
Yeah.
So people have to have this sort of awakening before they start looking at other opportunities too.
Yeah, and the glut of information, it makes getting on people's radar
Yeah.
really, really hard these days.
Just to piggyback off whoever asked online and then Genevieve's commentary afterwards, I actually think for me that fear of ignorance, that's one of the reasons I think we should be collaborating, because I think I have some pretty decent tech skills. I took a interlude to work at a firm for a while in an innovation space. And there's also a lot of skills on the big pyramid of skills I personally don't have. So I leverage those from other people. Like, no one person could actually teach tech competency.
Sure.
Like, that's just not possible. So every institution or different people within the institution, just like the way we teach doctrinal law, right? The same person can't teach criminal law and constitutional law. Some people can, right? But the intersection isn't the same for everyone. I think that's why we have to collaborate, because no one knows everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I teach one of those entrepreneurship clinics, and I totally agree with you. And also, I was very excited to hear a shout out to Tony Lupino. It's fantastic. But what we talk about when we talk about businesses innovating and having trouble innovating is it can boil down to all of these things, right? Fear of looking dumb, that sort of that's all absolutely true. The other things we point to is are the organizations giving time and space for people to innovate, right? Most people are just trying to make it the weekend, and they have more emails and more work than they know what to do with. So are we actually really taking the time and spending the money, which is the time, to help people innovate and have room and space to do that? But then also, are we celebrating failure? Are we celebrating making mistakes, right? Not just not being okay with it, but saying, hey, this spectacular failure really helps us. And so when you see companies really transform, when they bring in a chief innovation officer, that's usually the mindset that they try to instill in people. It's like, absolutely, if someone tries a new project and it goes sideways, don't penalize that person, and in fact celebrate them for at least trying. And so a little bit of that mindset goes really well.
And I think about our entire culture of incentives in legal education. So the promotion and tenure process, right? Trying to convince a campus committee, well, no, it's not the campus committee. They're used to collaboration. They see, articles from biological sciences or psychology with 18 different authors. But our own law faculty is like, oh, you collaborated on that article? That doesn't count. Highly individualistic and competitive, and you got a semester of really bad teaching evaluations. You must be a horrible teacher. There's no celebration of failure in that system. So points well taken. Where are you from?
Duke.
Great.
So I'm an interloper. I am not with legal education. I am the executive director of the Philadelphia Bar Foundation.
Oh, lovely. Thank you
So
for joining
we're-
us.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here, and I'm excited that law schools are talking about this stuff. But I do think my perspective is so different, and so I apologize. But
No,
it
don't.
sort of 30,000-foot view, the legal profession resists change. And that's a problem in a society where the legal system has created much of the inequities that exist. And I think that really, we have to keep calling that out.
And when we have partners from the profession, leaders like you, calling it out, that helps so much. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for saying that. Any other thoughts? Yes, sir.
I'm Dennis Kennedy. I'm at Michigan State, and my career my path to academia is a bit different than most people. So 35 years of practice, no litigation, in-house counsel, that sort of thing. I just think that and I've been involved in innovation. I was at MasterCard. So my general observations is that there is, if I can say this, a failure of leadership at the top. I mean, that's the biggest explanation for what we see. And then there's also an unwillingness to realize that law school is being taught to create appellate litigators, to me, is sort of the focus of it. And that's a very small group of lawyers anymore. Most lawyers are doing completely different things, and the legal education doesn't train it. And that's what I get from my students. They're saying, I wish that I could take more courses like yours because it tells me what I'm actually going to be doing in the practice. And then on the network thing, so I've been involved in a number of networks. I think there's just too many of them. No, is really the thing. So in Michigan State, should we start another one? No, there's other ones, but they don't, there's not really much happening in these things. So it'd be nice to have one. So a number of thoughts there, but what I see is we're allowing leadership in law schools, are allowing the older generation of tenured faculty to try to keep things the way they are and not allow new things in, and at the same time not punishing them for some of the bad things that they're doing as it is. And I think that's a gigantic problem.
Well, as one of the older, yeah, I'm not so sure it's a generational problem because I'm certainly seeing it. I'm seeing that mindset across the generations, that split. But absolutely that kind of, let's do it the way we've always done it because tradition and everything versus the innovators. And this goes back to the comment you made that, that new and the bright and shiny thing, as opposed to the basic groundwork. I'd like to focus a little bit on the comment that you made about too many networks, though. Because that's a concern that I have, too. And I think part of it is, I don't want to join your network because that's going to give you cred. I don't get any cred being part of your network. I want to build my own network. And it goes back to this kind of competitive nature. And that's why I think it's really important that the LTL is not branding itself as an institution's network, but is designed to be like Cali. It's designed to be a true collaboration, and we're trying to keep any kind of institutional ownership to a minimum. But even within the network, how do we incentivize people to, instead of inventing their own course, going to the network, and we all like to innovate. We want to do something new. We need to learn to build on each other if we're really going to take it to the next level. So, Dennis?
Yeah, so my problem with all the different networks is that I don't want to waste my time anymore. It's like, so here's something new, there's a lot of energy, and then it devolves into committees and like what webinar should we do, and a year goes by, and 2 years go by, and I say, I thought this was going to be an outlet for me, and I could have, I could have put up a website over the weekend. I could do an online course. I can create a community on Mighty Networks in a day. Like, why did I waste 2 years on something that's just kind of gone nowhere?
Right, and sustainability is an issue that we've talked about a lot, is that we've seen a lot of efforts to build networks, but then when the person goes on to a different institution or they get tenure or whatever, then that project kind of goes away.
That happens a lot. When somebody leaves.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The project goes with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, a lot of networks, the problem is they're echo chambers. We fill them with people who think like we do because they are passionate like we are, and the opposition tend to not get invited. But we need it to be challenging, to challenge the thoughts, to actually get anywhere. It almost has to think of it as we have to have a bipartisan network with people who are optimistic and people who are not optimistic.
Right.
Because that's gonna test all the boundaries of the ideas and of the products and of the network, but we don't like opposition, we don't like challenge, so we tend to not put those people in our networks.
Oh, I love the fact that you are terribly cynical.
I wasn't this way until I started dealing with educators.
All right, so let us tell you a little bit about our network and see if you think that you would like to join us and give your suggestions about what we can do to make this work. Thank you so much for that input. We will use that to continue to build.
So you probably have never heard of LTL, or most of you have never heard of LTL. So the Legal Technology Lab. So this is started 2014, and it was the result of several conferences. We had maybe 2 at UMKC, a business school, and the Kauffman Foundation, and one at MIT. And then the idea was like a hackathon. We talk about, well, not we, I was not there, but I was kind of in the shadow. Basically, let me go back. So my background is, I'm a librarian, and when I was hired, I didn't have my JD. And because of those meetings, I decided to do my JD. So because I saw, okay, I have a technology background, and everything they are talking about, I'm pretty sure I can contribute something. And I needed to know more about the law, and basically that's what pushed me to do my JD. So if you can see some of the video and picture, I'm in the background with the video camera, taking pictures. So after those meetings, they convened again, and then they started prototyping on projects and discussing how this could be. And then it was called the Global Technology Network. We had a couple of members from the UK, and I believe it could still be global. I'm originally from Morocco, and I know that the access to justice in Brazil is huge, like years of backlog, and same thing in my own country. I know this is not just a problem here. This could literally help people elsewhere. And the good thing is the tools are becoming a lot easier to use and to create, and you can literally create things on your own, like you said, and create a website in a day. So that's the origin of the network. I think we can play the video rather than me just talking. We have a video which we recorded a while ago, but it's still relevant.
So this is the LTL website.
Yeah, we printed a small business card. I will go around and share them with you while you watch this 4-minute video.
Do we need to share sound, or will it?
It's already shared, just you have to press play and we'll see.
Yeah, I tried.
Okay.
Maybe, I think it will be fine if we make it a little bit louder too. And if not, let me put the website address, just in case. So if you can't hear the video, you can follow directly on the website.
I think that's actually only going to us.
I was playing on the
There's a
room
link,
speakers
the link in
earlier.
the chat.
Oh, you went only to us? I put it in the chat.
Yeah, the chat is only going to host it.
Oh, that's,
Oh, I see.
yeah, okay.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Well, I can make it, we'll put it
We can
somewhere.
all see it now.
There we go, okay.
All right.
So that's the vision, and that's some of the experience. And so what we're asking is, would you like to join us? Would you like to offer your projects to be highlighted in the LTL? Would you like to take a look at the LTL website and say, this is a bunch of baloney, this is what you need to do? Would you like to look for collaborators? Would you like to offer up a project and ask for collaborators? This is what we're offering and what we're asking. So you handed out the cards?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can, a few more minutes, I want to just go back and address a few points that have been made. So first, if you go to the website has been live since 2014, I think, 15, no, maybe 16. And then we are in process of updating the website. So I'm gonna just quickly describe why we have the website. I feel, I'm a librarian, so I feel like I need to organize things a little bit and make things easy to access, and that's what I pushed for building the website. Three main categories. We have projects, curriculum, and community. So the project, as you have seen in the video, they were supported. So after we did the hackathon, they come up with a list of areas where they can address certain issues. Not all of them access to justice, maybe indirectly, like we had a smart contract project, we had some other business formation projects, things like that. And then 11 law school were involved. We have 15 projects, I believe, and we were able to give some seed money to start the project and pay for fees and whatever it needed to get them done. Right now, 4 are still ongoing projects, and I think I'm making a huge impact. You can see that, go to them on the website. But this was like I said, 2014. I believe a lot has changed, and the type of project we're working on, maybe we should think about something else. Maybe we should have another hackathon. What type of project should we involve in? I personally don't think law school should be involved in the business of building tools and things, because we are here to teach. But we should probably involve students in that process so they graduate and they teach, rather than we know what the job of the futures will be. And I believe that's what we should provide them. I also know, I have been building websites for many years, and I know it's easy to build a website, but it's not easy to sustain it. And it's not easy to take a project from a prototype or hackathon in 2 days or 3 days to be a real project. And I know that from experience, because building a guided interview for a protection order, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do it in a day. But then when you start being asked about, well, who's gonna access private information? Where this private information gonna be protected? Are you going to keep that information forever? How are you going to send this information to the e-filing system? So it's, that's why I really want to clear that I don't think we will, or we can try. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really hard, because if it was easy, everybody will be doing it. So we want to still prototype. We want to still tell people this could be done and build some mock-up in a sandbox that goes nowhere. And someone will pick it up. Maybe that's the next $1 billion idea. Who knows? And we have to be frank about that, because like yesterday we were talking about people from the community coming and suggesting projects. I mean, I don't have hair, but my hair starts thinking, okay, this is a little bit scary, because what if they bring a really good idea? Who's gonna protect them? And then we have non-profit or for-profit partners. What if someone take that idea and run with it? So those are real issues, and we have been doing this for a while, and I have seen those issues happen. I have seen issues where this is at least one of the projects we have is now a for-profit company. I personally benefited indirectly from this. I build tools for courts. I build websites for nonprofit organizations on the legal tech. I was somehow thrown into this area, but there is a need out there, and I believe like students can see that need and can hopefully do the same. So that's why I want this project to showcase what can be done, and maybe what I'm still struggling with. What is a project? What project should we highlight? Okay, here is a project, so what? What do you need to know? Do you need like the blueprint of the project? Do you need like the source code of the software? I don't really have the answer for that, and that's where we need your help. Another thing we have there are curriculum, which is, it's really silly idea, but it's really helpful. When I was looking at teaching a class and had no clue how to do it, I was looking who else is teaching that class, and I called them, send me your syllabi if you can, and they did. And they shared with me information, and we were to recreate that. I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with Ayyoub law. Ayyoub law, Tony Lupino started it with the Kauffman, which have been very supportive many years ago, and it's the entrepreneurship go-to for anybody who wants to start a clinic or wants to have access to information. And we have been maintaining that website for a while. It's over maybe more than 10 years. So we have courses, we have clinics in the map where you can find clinics that provide entrepreneurship help. So we have over 1,000 course and lab and clinic and center listed. We have basic information, like what they are, where they are, what do they offer. My goal is to add more information to that listing. Every year we hire students, and one of their projects is to update this website. Go through, I don't know of any better way. I just tell them, hey, this is the list of schools. Go to their website and just look at it, because there is really no one point where you can find information. This is what the goal with this section. And of course, the final section is to stay in touch and have a community. So we have not an active listserv. We have a listserv with more than 150 members, which are all enthusiastic about things like this. It has not been active in a while because I don't really know how to start and who should send that first email, hello world. So someone has to do it, and maybe you can do that. So those are the three main areas we want to focus on, and in the last few minutes, I would love to hear from you. How can we make this work? And to address, yes, we have networks. Yes, we have other stuff. Yes, anyone can do this. I don't think we have network that is multidisciplinary in such what we are hoping to do, or international in a way we really hope to do it. And I think our projects and past things we did speak for ourselves. If you don't know me, Google me or ask about me, you will know that if I start something, I usually don't quit easily, and I will be in it even if I do it for free. This is part of my portfolio now. This is what I will be doing for the next 5 years. So at least I know how hard is it to have a website and maintain it, and just have someone to respond to your emails. Oh, I joined the listserv and switched school. Can you switch my email? I will be doing that, and I can help you with that. And I can guarantee that for the next 5 years, this is going to be covered. So just to quickly address, this website will be live for a while.
Dennis?
Because there's no such thing as too simple a question. So I'm happy to participate on behalf of Michigan State, but I don't know, sitting here, exactly what that means, like what I need to do, what the expectations are. On the project side, in the video, I saw a lot of Stanford Codex people and Stanford Codex projects, so I don't know whether we're talking about projects are that mature. I didn't too well. Legal design challenge using ChatGPT for access to justice at Michigan State last semester. Is that the type of project that goes up there? Because that'd be great publicity for our students. So could you kind of sketch out that if I'm a representative of an institution who wants to get involved in this, what that looks like, and then maybe two relationships I'd like to understand is the Codex connection, and then how involved financially is the Kauffman Foundation at this point?
I'll take the first one,
Okay.
the project. So we were talking this morning about this as well, because that's kind of my question about where do we take the project side. And I think we started with tags on the project and they overwhelmed it. There were too many tags. But I think we definitely want to kind of tag these projects in terms of, here's a completed project that you can replicate. With that being the key. I mean, it's nice to have a place to advertise stuff, and maybe we should just have here are completed projects somebody did. We don't know how replicable they are. But here are ones that we're gonna put this project out here with the vision that I am giving this not just to show you what I did today. You know, I mean, I've been involved in legal education and pedagogy for 4 decades. And the number of law review articles and conference presentations that are, let me tell you what I did in class last week, you know, that you need to then say, and here's how you do it, right? And so what I would love to see is for you to take that project and give enough of the project's inner workings that I can pick it up and it'll save me all the planning time so that I can replicate it. So projects to replicate, that's one.
Right, so that design thinking thing, I give it to the world in every detail. But
Yes.
But it's not a codex level project.
No, it doesn't matter.
So
Doesn't matter.
we talk about it because we have some projects who, I personally feel intimidated when I see those projects. They are huge, and I have many of those projects actually, I have no idea what they are. It's just, this is way above what I do. I stick to the basics. That's what I do. So yes, some of those projects, but the idea is just to share. So if you have, and we talked yesterday, I would love to have your classes probably are here, and if they are here, I would love to have your material. Whatever you can share, make it available. Again, the example of the issue law, that's one of the strength of the issue law is basically the listserv and the collaboration between the faculty. 2 weeks ago, one of the, I don't know, I forgot his name, he's retiring and he sent a message in the listserv saying, hey, I'm retiring, blah, 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 thank you for your help. And then just the number of emails, responses that people saying, hey, I used your book that you published many years ago and it helped me in my career, thank you. So it's just small things like that. If it's a project, I don't really know what the project is, what is the criteria for the project. We need to talk about it and be open about it. How should we, what is a project? But I don't really want to, I don't think we should put limits on a project is only if success. I don't believe in success and failure. For me, failure is as good as success. And I can speak about a couple of projects which I know because I know the leaders, but four of the ongoing projects are here at the top. And then like the first one, which started as a multidisciplinary class where we have students from law, business, and engineering. And then they just have a project to work on a semester. So one of the projects was clear my record, which is expungement. There was a law, it was new, nobody knows about it, and they started researching. Well, now this project has staff who are full-time staff. They received the grant to support the project. They work, help educate legislators, and they are building tools for expungement in Missouri. Scott, who is the co-director of the project, who was an adjunct faculty from the beginning, take the same learning and mistakes and issues to do the same project in Kansas side. And I'm pretty sure if you are interested on doing something with expungement, you can reach out to Ellen and Scott and they will be happy to share with you whatever they are. And in fact, all the projects they are developing will be open source. So that's part of the grant is should give you money to do this, then you should make it open source. So this is one example of the project, but some other projects, like I know the Jonathan project, it's tagged as a past project, but it's for me, it did what it was supposed to do. it educated students on how to create, how to go through Q&A and to determine if you need to worry about GDPR law, if you are a business in the US and do you need to do something. And was when GDPR was still new, so there was a lot of unknown. So they created this Q&A. At the end of the Q&A, you know if you need to do something, and at the same time it drafts a letter for you that you can send to your attorney. And the project is done, and that tool is available for open source. Of course, again, this is just a prototype. This is not like it may not work, it may not be up to date, but just a tool. Someone who's interested in doing something similar can probably reach out to Jonathan and can share with you information. So those are the projects that I think we should highlight, and there are hundreds of projects. 8 years ago, there were not a lot of projects. Not a lot of people were doing this because it was so hard. But it's easy now to get involved in things like that. If you want to start, I mean, just join the listserv if you are not already a member. That's the first step. And then I'm sure we will be reaching out more. We used to have several conferences, and we are hoping to do that again moving forward.
And to answer the question about Kauffman, they've been very generous, continuing generosity to support these projects. And so they're one of many sources that we can turn to if we are looking for sources for resources. The Stanford Codex, that just happens to be, that there's nothing, that's happenstance.
Okay.
Right, that's the community that came together. Those folks were no more driving this project than UMKC or anybody else. I mean, they're just part of the community. Michigan State can be part of the community. You can be part of the community, right? It's just.
Talk afterwards, but I'm really interested in a Midwestern approach, Middle America approach, and not the East Coast or West Coast approach.
Yeah,
So
well.
having Stanford involved would be.
Yeah, you can't get too much more Midwestern than we are. And global at the same time, right? So we are the world. No, all right, before I start singing, I think our time is up. And so or maybe I should just sing us out to close out the session. But thank you all. Please, join the listserv or come talk to us, and let's get this community reinvigorated and continuing, because there's been a lot of work done to lay great groundwork here and a lot of great projects that have been done. And this is kind of my part, and I'm stepping down from the deanship in 18 days, not that I'm counting. But creating this position and having Ayyoub in it is one of my parting gifts to not just the law school, but legal education generally. And so I want you all to take advantage of
and
this.
as someone mentioned earlier, you need to have leaders and support you. I think that's very crucial. Michael hired me to come to the law school. I was going somewhere way far from here, and the bar has been very supportive. I think that's really crucial. I hope you have someone at your school that supports you as much as I got.
I got to tell one quick story. So when we were hiring Ayyoub, we were hiring all these different looking at all these different tech people, and we gave them a test. And one test was a really, really difficult problem with this website that had all these problems. And so people are coming in, they're trying to fix the problem. While we're over here debating about how long is this problem going, no, it was like, and so the members of the search team are all debating, and we turned back and Ayyoub had fixed it. And we were like, oh, well. But then the real test was, can you work with a stubborn, unreasonable faculty member? And that was me. It was like, no, I don't want to use a template. No, I don't want to use WordPress. I want to hand code my own. No, I don't know anything about coding. Will you teach that to me? And he was like, okay, all right, okay. So I hope you all have people like that who can work well with not just the technology, but with the people, because that's the magic sauce that makes it all work, right? So thanks anyway for everybody coming. Sorry, I had to tell